I now call to order the meeting for the Somerton Parks and Rec Commission on July 15th at 6:03 p.m. Commissioner Vasquez, if you'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on to roll call.
Manager, Commission Chair, Jesus Cervantes.
Present.
Commission Vice Chair, Olegario Zazueta. And communication, you should log into the Zoom meeting pretty soon. Commission Secretary and Historian, Francisco Vasquez.
Present.
Commission Member Juan Duran.
Present.
Commission Member Joanna Eso.
Present.
Commission Member Victor Moran.
Present.
Commission Chair, we have one.
I'm also present, Olegario Zazueta.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move on to call to the public. This is a time for the public to comment. Members of the Park and Recreation Commission may not discuss items that are not specifically identified in the agenda, limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and discussion later. Do we have any members of the public? Seeing none. I will note though, we will set up a email so the public can send in any comments or questions that they'd like discussed during calls to the public, as access to the facility is limited. So keep an eye out for that. We'll move on to old business, recreation update.
Good evening, Commission Chair, Vice Chair, members. Just a brief update on the Parks and Recreation Department. We've been working on a project for improvements at the community center. That's been our target this week and the past few weeks. The staff is working together, basically park staff and recreation staff, hands-on making some improvements at the community center. We're gonna restripe, pave the entire walls, finish the walls, which are already finished, but they needed more work to be able to be painted. And we're also looking into another bigger project for the south side of Somerton, which would be a skate park with some amenities. We're looking at 3 ramps. One, a bigger ramp, 8 foot tall by 16 foot wide, which would go into a 5 foot wall ramp by the 16th. Another 3 footer for the smaller kids, and some other amenities and features. So total would be 7 features. On top of a slab, the size of the one at Council Park, and it would be something nice for the community, low budget, high impact. We're looking at around 45 grand for the whole project, and it's not yet approved or assigned to any area. It's in the works, but it's highly likely for this fiscal year.
The existing parking right now at the council park improvements or new park?
Council's looking to a site towards the south of town. I am recommending Joe Munoz to revitalize that park, add another awesome amenity. Would it be basically behind center field, so it would be lit. It's going to have bathrooms, and it's not going to be at a retention. Other areas that we were looking at are retention areas, and since all the amenities are going to be made of galvanized metal, they're going to rot, and when they're going to flood, they're not going to be able to use them at times for 2-3 weeks at a time because of the flooding and the areas. And of course, having lights there, stadium lighting, they're going to be able to use it Monday to Friday, probably up to 10, 9:30 or 10 p.m. So that's my recommendation. That site could use some help, and the repairs for the court is also highly likely. So we have a nice court, and the skate park at Joe Munoz is gonna be good for that part.
That's awesome. And by any chance, does the council is thinking of synchronizing the lighting with the time which the park will be available for? Like, sometimes the lighting is off, and it's dark, people is around. Are they thinking something like that, or something?
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to adjust the schedule, and maybe one of the hours would have to be adjusted into the skate park, which is not a problem. Some of the lights might be able to be adjusted so that they hit a little bit more without taking too much away from the regular park, so the ball field.
Any additional questions or comments from the commission members? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Item number 1, update on upcoming activities and recreation schedule. Mr. Jesus Mesa.
Good evening, Commission. Good evening, Commission Chair, Vice Chair, members, the Commission. This is Mesa Parks and Recreation Director. Let me pull up a schedule, tentative schedule that we have already envisioned for the upcoming season. So as you can see, as mentioned, it's a tentative schedule, of course, because of the situation and the emergency state that we're at, and there's no definite plan right now or direction from council because of this situation that continues to affect the whole world, and the community here is being highly impacted. But I mean, we have a plan set. We were looking at, as you can see, doing some activities towards the beginning mid of August, which are going to be highly unlikely at this point, being sort of a month away. We're looking at hosting a baseball tournament, girls softball and a soccer. We are probably going to adjust the schedule a little bit more, so we shift the activities a little bit more into the fall, hoping that we're going to be able to restart our programming soon. Equipment has been ordered. We have the equipment ready. We bought some equipment for after-school activities that we're hoping to be of use with the improvements. And as some of you may know, I mean, it's been announced in the newspaper, according to comments by the council and the mayor, that it's the project for the AC is going to move forward this year after December. So the AC units are highly likely to happen this year. So with that, I mean, we're going to be able to do more programming and get more use out of that gym. The after-school activities will run after school around 4 in an open gym environment. We will do it for free. We bought 2 ping pong tables for table tennis, open gym, dodgeball, and hockey. We're a street hockey type activity. So we're planning on starting with that just for free. And as soon as we get more interest, start doing some free tournaments, and if we could turn it into a league in the future, that's the plan. Just something to get the kids engaged and back to the community center. It's been kind of lonely the past few months, and maybe more, and a year or two. I mean, that place needs more presence. It needs more help. That's why we're trying to revitalize it with some improvements, and hopefully the AC, which would be a big upgrade for this center. I don't know, any questions up to this point? Yeah, basically what I'm getting from
the direction from city administration and council is they're not ready to make a call. I'm part of the task force for COVID-19 citywide, which the mayor's in there, the vice mayor, and other head staff or lead staff from the city. And the common direction I'm getting, or the input, is basically the city's not ready to reopen the facilities at this time. There's no obvious, the curve is not being flattened, basically. It's at this point, it's starting to show some positive signs in the past week or so, but it's upping almost every day. And the final portion of June, the beginning of July was not too good in terms of numbers. But I mean, in summary, the city is going to make a decision once it comes to a point where the numbers are lower and close to zero. So right now, there's no intention of reopening facilities or restarting activities. And that's the message I'm getting from this task force and the direction from council.
So Jesus, so I noticed like in Joe Munoz, even Main Street, sometimes we have kids jumping the fence to go and play or practice or I mean, just to do something. Have we looked or have they talked about just leaving the gates open? I mean, instead of having the kids jumping over the fences?
At the moment, we haven't talked about that, which that would be part of the reopening process. The kids are jumping and PD's trying to enforce, along with the mask and the closure of the facilities. They're the ones that are more responsible for the enforcement. We are probably more we're on the end of reporting, along with any other citizen that feels they're free to report any kind of activity which shouldn't be taking place at any of the facilities. I mean, but at the moment, we don't want to promote activities and engagement of larger groups. I've heard a lot of reports. I've communicated with PD about this, and they're trying to enforce it, but at the same time, they're very limited on staffing. So, I mean, if it gets to the point where they have to start making some legal or taking some kind of measures to avoid and just basically detract the people from doing it, they're going to have to. But at the moment, there hasn't been a lot of citations or anything like that.
And the reason I'm asking is because in Yuma, they've been leaving all the fields open. They're not renting them out. They're not promoting you go, but they're just leaving them open. More than anything, I think to avoid somebody getting hurt, just jumping the fence. I can see it being a problem when you have whole teams or big gatherings, but if it's just a parent trying to practice or do something with their kids, I mean, it's something that maybe we can look at.
Yeah, that's been an issue at some cities, that the people feel like it's their right, and it is, because they're public amenities. And some cities have taken that initiative to reopen. Right now, the situation in Somerton is not at that point or at that level where it's very convenient to reopen, because the situation is still pretty drastic. But we could look into it and consider it. But I mean, that's part of any facility in terms of parks, restrooms, and city hall and any other of the buildings. It's a citywide closure, so I mean, it wouldn't be up to me, basically. That's the direction I'm getting from council. And it doesn't seem like they're ready to make that call right now.
At this point, I'm sorry, but
No.
I totally agree with the direction of the city council and the way things are heading in matters of keeping things close. What I'm seeing is kind of trying to avoid seeing the numbers in the Yuma County but I actually receive them every single day for the, I link the page to my phone. And if we actually given them an inch, they will take the whole yard. And I know, since I live across the Human Use Park, I've seen kids, usually they're exactly the same kids, okay? They're the ones who are trying to be in the park, no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen, as soon as the police officers approach them, they will just run behind, and then they're playing the cat and mouse. But I noticed most of the people are actually, they're respecting, they're staying indoors, they're, they're trying to avoid using facilities. I mean, the simple thing is cut tape around the park, it is working. And the moment that we start leaving doors open, then more kids, especially the ones who are thinking that nothing will happen to them, it may happen to them, and then it becomes the same problem as any other city. More cases to report.
Yeah, I mean, this is a situation where it's very complicated, and there's going to be a lot of divided opinions. And I mean, we're just trying to work together with the city. I mean, for the best interest of the residents and in terms of their health and well-being. As you may know, I mean, Council Park is basically open. It's an open space. The fencing is pretty low, and I've gotten several reports that a lot of larger crowds are gathering, and they're basically practicing. And that's something that I have communicated to PD, and they're aware. And I mean, they're trying to work with the community too, and educate the community and advise, not move forward with citations or arrests or anything like that, because they're aware that this situation, they don't want to negatively impact the families more than what they're already been affected by this situation. So, but if they have to enforce it, they're aware, and they're going to have to do it basically.
Jesus, can you hear me? This is Joanna.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question and a comment. From our last meeting, we were talking about commercializing the education for COVID and how to, how people need to interact with each other, like at the parks and all that. How is that going?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, we're working on we're gonna start the planning process tomorrow. Actually, we have the meeting. We're gonna start a campaign of promotional videos. We're gonna do one for the community center, which is gonna involve all the programs of the community center, like guitar and folkloric and all that, and try to engage the instructors into providing a positive message for the community. The other one will be directed towards the community center project. The other one towards senior center and the meals program. That's something that it's been an upgraded service or something that an additional service that we're providing that has never been done or it's the first. And the other one's for the pathways, and that one is the one I mentioned on the prior meeting. Just trying to do something citywide and involve council. We're going to invite the commission. So any of the commission members want to be in that video and promote the safe distancing. Yeah, and just something practical and simple, but nice, and that promotes a positive message. Yeah, and that's going to be a campaign involving those 4 videos.
That's awesome. I look forward to that because I really do believe in there's power in education and educating our community about it. And it's so simple to do and simple to come across, but it's just, we just have to do it. And I'm more than willing to help, any way I can with that. I feel very strongly about that. Also, there's another thing I want to mention in regards to the COVID numbers going down lately. It's an observation of mine since I do work at the Regional Center for Border Health, and I can see the lines of the COVID testers the whole time that I'm there working from my office. Well, I need to let you know, FYI, since July 4th, after July 4th, there's been a drastic change in COVID testing, as in no more lines, no one's really testing. It's very like scarce. There's no more lines of testing. Before July 4th, we were bombarded. I mean, you probably saw almost to Avenue D, and it was consistent. And now the last couple weeks, no lines. It's like, what's going on? Is it because a community doesn't want to have those numbers? I don't understand. I mean, I'm just really perplexed about it. And all of us that work there, we see it. So we're very perplexed because, like, why did the drastic drop in testing just happen just a few weeks ago? And it's been consistent. So in mentioning the numbers dropping, I want you to know, just as an FYI, in our own city, that's what's been happening.
I appreciate it. That's a good, it's good to hear. I mean, that at least the testing, that means that's a positive sign to me, and hopefully it's going to be reflected in the numbers and the progress of this pandemic. But yeah, I mean, it's surely going to be a process. I mean, that we're hoping it's going to be sooner than later that we're going to be able to restart, because, I mean, it's part of what we do. But I mean, it's in a situation that it's over our heads and it's out of our control. But I mean, we're just trying to be prepared for whenever council says reopen, and hopefully have a good plan and we're working on the programming, on the rules and all that. We're going to start reaching out to the coaches, get their input, try to reinforce all the rules and all that. So at least when activities reopen, we're ready to go. At least have the programming, the regulations set and all that.
Yeah, well, what I've been reading too is that unless the communities have that steady drop in control over the virus, spreading so rapidly, then any community type of activities, including schools, it's not a good idea, because you have to control what's going on, the spreading wise in the community before we can open up. So I think it's very wise that our council is waiting, day by day, making sure that we have this under control somewhat, where it's gone down instead of the rise. It's been wild, the spreading.
Yes, Luana, one question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
The people usually who I read an advertisement that says that coronavirus is free as long as you have your insurance. In reality, it's not free. By any chance, the price of, what is it, $89, $90, or $100 just the process?
Oh, the test itself?
Uh-huh.
I don't know the prices because I don't work for the actual clinic, but I've heard that they won't deny anyone. So like, even if someone doesn't have insurance, they won't deny them. And I heard it was very inexpensive through the Regional Center of Border Health. But I can find out. I just don't work for that department, so I don't know offhand, but I can find out.
Yeah, because one of my neighbors actually said, no, it's very expensive. I don't have the money, I don't have insurance, or they have access, I guess, or whatever. Anyways, what I'm seeing right now is actually this idea of motion that if I don't get tested, I don't get COVID, probably you will agree with me in a lot of that sense. But we, as a commission and as a city, I think we have the obligation to see for the best of our community, and not to actually give out to pressures from outside, to open and then see consequences. I have to see for my family, I have to see for my neighbors, and for the think right now the city is doing an awesome job trying to keep things under control. I saw actually, two police officers talking to some kids, that were in the park.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to be, and they later, they left, and the kids came back with, instead of 2 being now 4. And but again, it's just a very specific pockets of, testing the system, testing the limits. But I think we're in the right direction, and I hope we, as a commission, we're not pressured to, start programming and everything else for serious, because we have seen what is happening in other places, other cities.
Yes. Yes, we have. And we continue to see what's happening. Yeah.
Overall, I do want to echo what was already mentioned. I mean, at a certain point, it also turns into personal responsibility. If a person does want to disobey, then they'll disobey regardless, just like regular laws. My hope is that enforcement is at the bottom of the list as far as any financial sanctions, tickets, citations of that sort. We start off with educational material, because if you start off with citing people, arresting, whatever it may be, that kind of does escalate items, especially if it's something simple as don't visit a public facility. I know it may be hard for individuals to do that personally, but I mean, there's more than just them at risk. They put everyone that they come in contact at risk should they be sick or anything like that. To my point is, I know the city is doing a united campaign against having the use of public facilities by the public and items like that, but I'd also recommend that we also have the major partners also, I guess, enforce it at their facilities. In particular, personally, I bike ride through the city of Somerton when I can, and I've seen individuals using school district facilities, in particular, Desert Sonora. I've seen the physical fitness group hanging out there doing their normal routine, of course, practicing social distancing. I've also seen individuals using the ballparks at Somerton Middle School during the evening in huge crowds. So if the city really wants to have that united front, they need to get buy-in from their partners as well. I mean, not to say that they're not doing it, but they need to make sure that those who, if they do have an arrangement with individuals or organizations, that they are aware that because they are on school grounds doesn't make them exempt from a city ordinance or something to that extent. Because if me as a member of the public, I'm like, well, those individuals are hanging out at a open space, why can't I hang out at my local park? So it turns into that kind of perception that the public may be getting if not everybody's on the same page. So at least that's from my personal observations while riding around town. Some of the school facilities are still being kind of used by members of the public in large amounts. Although social distancing is being practiced to some extent, but it gives that perception of what makes them special or different than me. Why can't I use my local park, but yet this group is using it for practice or a fitness club or whatever may be going on at the facility there. So I just wanted to throw that out there as far as a personal observation. I do agree that the city is doing a good job at trying to have that community outreach and inform individuals, but it becomes pointless if not everybody's on board and on the same page, at least to a certain extent. That's all I had as far as a comment for this item.
Thank you, ma'am. You make a valid point.
Jesus.
Any additional comments or questions?
Jesus.
Yeah, go ahead, Commission Member.
Jesus.
Yes.
Can't hear you. Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I was saying, Jesus, maybe as a commission or even our department there, maybe we can encourage our kids to exercise at home. I mean, either do like a competition who can log in more time exercising, because I mean, overall, I mean, our kids been indoors for almost 4 months, and by that, I mean, our kids are only getting a little bit bigger, maybe turning to a beast, because I mean,
Yeah.
we're scared as parents to take them or do anything outside our home, but maybe I don't know, have prizes or something to the kids that log in and can show a way that they are doing exercises or keeping up with them, we're exercising or something.
I like that idea, like a virtual challenge.
Yeah, something.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that. We've done some culture activities, but we can do, that's a good idea, some more physical. Came in my mind when you were speaking, Commission Vice Chair Sosueta, that maybe a competition involving like push-ups and crunches and sit-ups, like who can do the most in 2 or 3 minutes, something like that, and of course tape it on video and have just whoever does the most and by different categories, something like that.
And you can give them choices too, like a menu of choices, because let them be creative and they can pick their own exercise too. But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, the typical, the classic, like in the PE, that you have a chart and whoever did the most push-ups and crunches won the contest or competition. That was pretty popular back in my days. I think they don't do it anymore, but it's a healthy. Or any other ideas, I mean, feel free to channel them through to me, and we'll look at something that's a good idea.
I think if we start off with the exercising challenge and with the education on COVID, like out in the community, all of that, I think that's more than enough on our to do, and it's gonna be, it's gonna render a lot of benefits from that.
Sounds good. Yeah, I like the idea.
All right. So thank you guys. I have to get going, so I'll check in with the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, any additional comments or questions for item number 1? Okay, moving on to item number 2, update on Parks and Recreation Commission budget. Mr. Mesa.
Good evening, Commission, Chair, Vice Chair, members. You may see on your email and here in person, forward some hard copies to our members, and you may notice that there's $2,746.75 available. That's without the Ramada expense, which 2 orders have been canceled already. We have some complications at times with our shipping address here at the city. That's a UPS thing. So at times we have to order things for our personal address because there's problems with the GPS and the Google Maps with at times not finding or confirming our address. So that's something that I wanted to mention. So I mean, it's a pretty good amount for this fiscal year 2021. We did budget $3,000 as a projected amount, and you already have over 2,700 available, and that's already with the expenses, the fee from Romer Beverage from Greater Days, which was $1,700 for their fee, the percentage that they were charging for the merchandise, and all the rest are basically all the expenses, the donations, all the way to July of 2019. So it's about a year and of a statement. And I don't know, any comments? It looks pretty in line with what we have. I mean, it's a good amount that the commission has available right now. I don't know if the commission members outside are able to see this report.
No, I can't see it.
I forwarded through email earlier.
I'll check it out. I was working earlier. I'll check it out later.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw
it's
it.
there
I got it, the email.
I mean, it's a good statement. I mean, and then it shows all the expenses from a year back. And I remember a few months when I'd begun employment here at the city. Ms. Lizarraga came from the dancers, and then some other expenses. Some materials that were bought for the pet pools, ice and merchandise. So I don't know any questions. Some other expenses or charges were taken care of by recreation, like some of the plaques. So I didn't charge all the plaques to this account. It's just basically one, probably for Mr. It's either for Ian's or for Mr. Juan Bustos plaque. So overall, it looks good. I mean, of course, right now the fundraising is going to be limited. I mentioned the email with the Ramadas. I don't know if the commission wants to keep moving forward with that purchase. It's not a whole lot. It's $180, and it's something that's going to be needed anyways for the near future. But we don't know. I mean, when events are going to restart, but we are shooting right now already for greater days again. As it seems. I mean, hopefully by February we're going to be able to restart the events and massive events and all that, and we're eager to do it. I mean, we had a good lineup ready for 4th of July that was very low budget and some good attractions, but I mean, of course we weren't able to do it, but hopefully for the next one, and hopefully fundraise the same amount of money or more.
I vote yes because it's a good price for it. I don't know what everyone else thinks.
I mean, I know we're not gonna, the commission's not gonna put it to use immediately, but I mean, it is gonna be used anyways, hopefully pretty soon. So it depends on how the commission views this purchase, which would be around $180. I mean, that was the last order amount. I forwarded the last two. That it was canceled from the vendor, not from our end. So
no, this is the new fiscal year now, right?
this is the new fiscal year. So you have we budgeted three grand because we projected that the commission's probably gonna fundraise a little bit more. It's already at 2746 with 75. So without the Ramada, it's still gonna be over 2,500. So not very far from the 3 grand that we're projecting. But I don't know, any questions from the commission? This is pretty much it. I mean, it's looking in good shape, the budget, and right now I don't think too many donations are gonna come our way, but
It's hard for everyone.
yeah. Or request for
So,
donation.
do you need direction for
big deal.
I think at this point, I mean, we will need it eventually at some point. I mean, we already approved it. I mean, might as well move forward with it unless there's any concerns or comments on it. As you mentioned, I mean, if we'd rather have it now and not really need it than really need it and not have it. I mean, it turns into one of those situations. And for the price, I mean, it's not like it's gonna really dig deep into our current budget.
Agree 100%.
Yes, I agree with Chair Cervantes too, 100%. We better have it and not have it.
Perfect, will do.
Any final comments or questions for item number 2? Okay, moving on to item number 3, discussion of the Yard of the Month program regarding its current status and direction moving forward into fall 2020 season. Once again, Mr. Mesa.
Good evening, Commission Chair, members. This is Mesa Parks and Recreation Director. Just an update on the Yard of the Month program. It's basically a program that is on standby right now. It was initiated probably before I became employed with the city of Somerton. The signs are already done. I saw them when I started here. That Angelica was trying to push that program alongside Parks and probably I don't know if it was the Commission or the Council. But right now it's basically on standby, and something that I don't know. It depends on what the vision is for that program and what the Commission thinks about that program. I don't believe there's some set of regulations for it. It might be something there, but I couldn't find anything. We can put something together and try to start doing that activity or program. It doesn't involve gathering or anything like that. It's basically inspecting from distance, and we believe that program particularly would be of good interest. I don't know, it would be good for the identity or for good public relations standpoint, that maybe the Commission works with our department so we can work together on some regulations, and maybe the voting and all that can be on the behalf of the Commission. So it's not something that we do on our end as city employees, so it's a little bit more neutral. And I mean, be by nominations, I'm thinking, because I mean, it can be kind of complicated just going all over town. Maybe the neighbor can nominate their neighbor, and maybe top 10 we can evaluate and go inspect, something like that. It's a little bit more practical. But I mean, we're open to suggestions and putting something together. And I don't know, any comments?
Yeah, the Yard of the Month program was initiated by the Commission.
Yeah.
I believe it was Commissioner Duran's initial project, and we moved forward with it, and we did develop the standards and what's expected. It's on our on the Commission's public website.
Okay.
There's a Yard of the Month tab.
Oh.
And it does lay it out what's required, because we did go over, you know, some of the rules, because one of the major ones, it's only open to residential properties.
Yeah.
And there is a nomination form on the site as well, but since we've had it up, there's been zero, unfortunately. We did do a massive campaign on our social media page initially, and even then we didn't get any self-nominations. But it is active. At one point, I think it was discussed that maybe we could get a community development involved as well. 'cause it is part of the overall city beautification initiative that at one point was kind of gaining steam. But I mean, it is kind of already in motion, is that we've never had any people self-nominate or nominate their neighbor. And I can forward you all the information on it. Like I mentioned, we've been doing campaigns here and there, but we've gotten likes, but never any actual
Application for the,
for the program.
We had actually one, but it was incomplete. And yeah, we stipulate that it has to be natural, no artificial. And we went through the rules and they're posted again right in there. As a matter of fact, last month, I mean, between the June and July, I was doing the walking on the south side of the city. I just walked. Yeah, there is people that I would like to, they don't think that because we discussed this as a possibility there on the agenda, so I said, why not actually get some ideas to at least, not fact that some votes, but at least ask for permission, and would you like to be nominated for, because I noticed some houses with such a wonderful, I mean, the trees well trimmed and the garden is beautiful, way much better than mine. And they're very humble, but they take pride on their ownership of their own, property, and those should be actually part of our. Now I was wondering if we can somehow connect with the Bajo el Sol so they can help us promote this I don't know, they're Bajo el Sol and probably not so much as a buying policy for them, but as an announcement. San Luis News also delivers here in Somerton.
Yeah.
They throw every week. I mean, these guys, Bajo el Sol, and they've been throwing the newspaper in my yard every single Friday, no matter what. And usually I don't see anything from the city of Somerton. Empty.
Yeah.
The only thing is like, well, from the Somerton district, that we need money to make for schools or whatever, but all these wonderful projects that are free and enhance, the beauty of our city, they're not actually there. So why not, contact again Mr. Pizza and your own, say, hey, look, we want to promote this. What do you think? How can we work it?
I like that.
In fact, actually, 2 weeks ago, we had a conversation and he said, hey, please, when you have something, let me know, and we can take it from there, whatever. Okay, I'll keep it posted. So he's willing to actually help us, promote anything that we have right now, and I'll probably have his number. Call him and say, contact Jesus, and because number one, the COVID, the information that Joanna was mentioning, we can work with him and and helping the cities taking this, whatever. Beautification, that's the other thing that he can help us. I can actually walk for the next few weeks, spotting some houses, at least get the momentum going, because it was a great idea that we have, and has been just there for the little.
Yeah, I mean, and we tag it along into this COVID-19 situation, finding like a little system or strategy. I'm pretty sure we can make it work even right now. Because we could do it on our behalf and just try to contact the people from distance, and maybe I'm willing to go around town and check out some houses and my route where I'm checking out the parks, and maybe nominate some houses myself. Or what's like the criteria?
Because here is posted there is no ownership of the basically there's no artificial things. Like I do have a little piece of artificial grass in my front. So I will disqualify that. But if it's something that has, like my neighbor across the street, he takes care every single morning. He's outside and he's, trimming the trees, the flowers, whatever. It's just a small area. I mean, I have seen houses way much better than. So in my case, if I were going to nominate someone, I would nominate someone that invests more time on their yard.
Anybody can nominate anybody, or is it just the neighbor?
Anyone. Imagine if I'm the owner, and then I have, hey, congratulations. And guess what? Your yard is so beautiful. Here's this. the city will gonna, because we say that for a month, they're gonna hold that prestigious signage.
It's pretty straightforward and simple, as Commissioner Vasquez kind of touched on. I mean, as long as it's not like artificial grass, that's fine. It doesn't have to be a green lawn either. It can be a xeriscape or a desert landscape. And only your front lawn qualifies. So if you have like a beautiful backyard, but your front lawn is kind of needs work, then you're not eligible, because that has to be your front yard. Anything that is publicly visible from a street, excluding backyards. And it has to be maintained by the homeowner. So if you have like a professional crew that goes and maintains their property, that doesn't really, what's it called, qualify you for it. But it's open to any resident within the city's city limits. Like I mentioned earlier, the only exception is it's not open to businesses. Not that any business really have a whole amount of property or area to landscape, but we kind of left it only open to the residential side.
Yeah, Jesus really did a good job. He did a map. There's sections, so there's winner per sections, and we're gonna have a committee. Most of us were on it, but then things changed. People changed in the park and rec, and it fell apart. And plus, we didn't have anybody applying. But yeah, Jesus did a really awesome job. So everything's there already.
Also, I want to add one more thing. Hello? Hello? Okay, so what about at City Hall placing a voting ballot box with one of those stand-up posters about the contest, and having that poster like right there in City Hall, maybe at the entrance, and a voting box. So anyone that goes to City Hall sees it, and they can vote right there, and then you can encourage it there.
That's a good idea. Maybe not right now in this situation, but I think that would be a good addition in the near future. And right now, I would recommend everything virtually, maybe through the Facebook page, and just the people sending their pictures and maybe the contact information. Make it as simple and as practical as possible.
Yeah.
But I'll all the information, because we do have the it's a whole packet actually, because we provided some to the previous staff, but I don't think it ever went anywhere. It's probably sitting in a storage room somewhere. I apologize for not contacting the commission directly. I thought it was something that was initiated from internally from the city employees, and I couldn't find anything. And so the voting would be from the committee, right? Or basically the commission.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's an awesome rubric. Everything's there. This was knocked it out of the ballpark again.
And but I'll send you the hard copies and then the link to the site. It's on our site, and we have it both in English and Spanish. Everything's in English and Spanish. So
I think it's a good time to try to restart it. Maybe people are at home. Some of the employees, their main hobby right now is exercising at home and working on the yard. A lot of people, so it might work right now. It's worth giving it another try.
This is my commitment for this. I would like to during the next 2 weeks, I would like to nominate 5 from different areas of Somerton, and then bring something next month for us, for you guys to actually decide. I will do the whole thing, the going around, taking pictures, submitting pictures of those so you can see them, and then with the next one we can at least present something to whoever you think is the best desert landscape or whatever. But it is something that it doesn't involve a lot of people. It's already done. It's easier. It just matters of it's either me walking or you walking or us. We have a beautiful map. I mean, this guy is just acknowledge it. So we were really excited about it, and I'm still excited about it. Now that I'm more at home, terrifies me because, you're always busy doing something. It's because this is what it is. So now I understand, employing my own time and beautifying my own house, trimming the trees, trying to do something. It is nice. And also elevates the value of the property. So,
Yeah.
Win-win situation for everyone.
Yeah, I'll get involved too, and then involve the parks division mostly. They're doing the landscaping around the houses and all that, and I'll create a notice that has information, some basic details, and contact me if you're okay with being part of the nomination, and just forward me the pictures, and we can take care of it like that. I mean, I don't know if that's something that the commission would agree to or approve. Just like
That's
a
a
little
great
notice,
idea.
so we don't come into contact with the people, just leave it at the door and leave our contact information there. Or the people are outside of them can ask him distant and with our mask and, hey, you want to be part of it, and this person and that, and just something simple. I mean, we're probably gonna have to go get the people because they're not coming to us. So
no, we're all connected. I mean, we receive your messages to our phones and whatever, so I can download the pictures. I don't have to do anything, and we'll be ready those pictures for you for next month. Okay.
I'll create a simple notice and have the logos of the city and all that, and like letterhead and users for that.
If I have questions, I'll contact you.
Sure.
Any additional comment or question on item number 3? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4, which will be the update on Joe Munoz Air Quality Flag Program regarding upkeep and current status.
Good evening, Commission Chair, members, Parks and Recreation Director, this is Mesa. I'm here to provide an update on this program. It's been ongoing. It's basically right now on hold because some of the flags are basically outdated or they need to be replaced. I was able to gather some information. We have 3 stations right now, basically for that. It's Munoz, JCC, and Council Park. And I know Commission is interested in having another station for that here at City Hall or San Ynez Park. I can channel that request, and I don't think that would be. I'm thinking it's going to be approved. It's a good program, and this is probably the nicest park area we have. It's always the best kept, and it's a good site for town and a lot of traffic. So it's going to be seen probably even more than at other sites. So, and it's a little bit more practical to be maintained and the upkeep and changing the flags and all that. Because I mean, we have 4 sites and we have 6 park staff members in total doing maintenance all over town, and at times they're a little bit too busy per se. And now that they have all the retentions, there might be a few days that it's gonna be missed. But I mean, I am gonna assign somebody for that program, and we do have some flags still available that are new, but we need to request another set for the other sites. I don't know, maybe we could concentrate on 1 or 2 sites. That would be my recommendation, because 4, I think it's a little bit complicated considering the staff and all that. And but I am going to assign somebody to that particular task.
Yeah, and I guess some back history on it. We had already identified the 4 sites initially. Yeah. It was our flagship parks, which is Council and Joe Munoz, and then JCC and City Hall. The flags here at City Hall never got deployed because research was going to be done in order to buy the, I guess it's a kit in order to add an additional flag to the bottom of the state flag here. So that's why they were never installed.
Oh, okay.
But that was with prior Parks and Rec staff at least according to that individual. That's why it never got deployed here. So in total, there should be approximately 12 flags, 4 green, 4 yellow, and 4 orange. Actually, 16, because I think there's a red.
Red, yeah.
But we can get replacements. They are free from the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, ADEQ. So we do have a point of contact for that. We just need to collect the old flags, and we'll send them back for a one-to-one replacement. But they are free to the city since we are a participating partner.
Yep.
As far as replacing them when needed, we had originally offered to do it because a lot of us do live in.
Yes, I want to get across
so that could be another viable option. The only issue we ran across is that I believe 2 of the flagpoles have that lock. We would need assistance with the one more likely here at City Hall, and the one at JCC, I believe, has an anti-tamper lock. But the one at Council Park and Joe Munoz, it's a simple, just raise it up. So that could be an option. I know Commissioner Vasquez lives next to Joe Munoz. I live down by Somerton Middle School, so I could do the one at Council Park.
I could do the one from Joe Munoz.
And so that would only leave the 2 other sites for city staff member to change. And it's not that they change a whole lot. Usually they're green.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll jump up to yellow. And it's just a daily email that gets sent out by ADEQ saying that this is the flag color you should fly today. And they'll try to guess what the flag for tomorrow should be so you can kind of be preemptive and replace it. So that's another option that we can explore. I mean, I personally don't think we would mind just replacing it every morning as time allows as well.
I think that's a good plan. I mean, just need to replace whatever flags we need to replace in order that can order it shortly, and I don't think it would be much of an expense. And it's, I said, what I can hear, it was already approved.
Yeah.
That request to have the flags here too and all that.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we did a kind of like a press release as well back in the day. So
Perfect.
it's floating around somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, anybody has it or sees it, please let me know. I'll dig into it, see if I can find it. Just to channel it through and just FYI, we're gonna initiate this process. Yeah.
That was Mr. Sheriff's idea, and I think it was great. You know, as a matter of fact, they even cite El Centro having those big screen. You know, there is actually advertising, whatever, but there is like a spot that lasts like 30 seconds, in which in front of the mall is telling you know what is the air quality. They said this one is brought by, and then somebody's sponsoring that. So that's great. So in my case, I told you before, and I'm telling you right now, I don't mind, you know, being part of my routine today. Before I go to work, go and check the poll, because I do it anyways. Sometimes the kids, since there is no restriction, sometimes the kids will bring the flag down to this level, and then I'll go and I'll put it back at the top. And but it's got, now it's fading. The color is fading, so I need a new one so I can change it and disregard the old one because the color summer.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, when we'll see if we could put like a locker or something like that so it's secure, so that like not everybody can do it, and just have a key for the commission. So they're secured. And I know that we haven't had a whole lot of problems with people damaging or stealing the flags, but if we have them secured, that would be maybe a good idea of measure. Yeah, so that's what I have for the flag program. I think it's a good plan, and just reorder the flags that we do need from ADQ, and dividing the sites between City Hall and JCC for city staff, and the other 2 sites for the commission. And maybe we could do another post or article in the newspaper. Says I'm going to be there on Friday for the community center project, and I'll mention something to him that we're going to get back to him on this, project.
Any, comments, questions for item number 4? Seeing that concludes, new business. We'll move on to current events update and recommendation for agenda items for the next meeting by commission chairman, commission members, and or Parks and Recreation staff and director. So, I do not have any items at this point. Moving on to Commissioner Vasquez.
I just want to say thank you for the Parks and Recs for actually putting those signs to have their face cover of the halfway. Oh, forget about the official name, the canal, whatever it is. I can't like. Anyway, so it is well. The distance between those signs is good. I mean, it's now visible. It's there, and it's up to the people to follow. You know, the city's recommendations. So, cheers for that. I have nothing else to say.
Moving on to Commissioner Grant.
I got nothing.
Commissioner Israel.
Just thank you very much for Jesus, our director. Good job on maintaining and doing the efforts that are leading efforts that are, you know, benefiting our community always and working together with us. Just want to thank you for that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Commissioner Calderon.
Yes, I want to second that. Thank you. And also say thank you to everyone who helped with the 4th of July. I did the drive-through for the watermelon and hot dog. And so I don't know if anyone of us was out there, but yeah, it was great. And then I watched the fireworks from home, from my backyard.
Oh, can I add that I went to the drive-through too, and I have to ask, where did you guys get the watermelons? Because they were the best. I mean, that was like the best watermelon ever.
Yeah, I got that comment a few times too. They were very beautiful family. They were sponsored by Mr. Zavala. I don't know where he got them from. They were pretty good.
They were very. I actually did the drive-through, and they were. I thought I was very lucky to have that watermelon, so sweet,
yeah,
so fresh. Like, wow! And it was done so quickly. I didn't spend probably people minutes at the most. You know, I didn't waste my time. Nothing at all. They were very friendly. And how many hot dogs do you want? 5. Well, 5 hot dogs. So it was well done.
And then I did forget one item when I was up. For next meeting, I'll do our outreach update. I can go over what the commission currently has as far as outreach. So I'll go over the website and our social media page. I think it's been a while since they've provided numbers. And then next will be Mr. Mesa and staff, if you have any other items for our next
I'm
meeting.
gonna do a 2-in-1, probably an update on recreation. Hopefully we'll have more concrete information, and also I'm gonna run through the commission a few sets of rules and regulations for some of the activities. If I have some input or just to review them briefly, go over the more outstanding information.
Okay, that concludes that portion. Are there any final event updates or recommendations for the next agenda? Okay, seeing none, I now adjourn the meeting for the Somerton Parks and Recreation Commission at 7:13 p.m. Thank you, everybody.